Chapter 18. Cornish crab is best. The gallery had clearly exhausted Freddy, especially as he had had to deal with new friends of his and also deal with a randy university rower who wanted to sleep with the both of them. This wasn't entirely imagined, and he knew exactly what guys like that were like. Before heading home, they had briefly stopped at Carafini to pick up some food. They'd picked up a crab salad, some arrabbiata, and a few other dishes. Andy could have thought of a joke about crabs and avoiding crabs, of the sexually transmitted kind from Ali, but he avoided that line of thought as it was crass. His mind was focused solely on the situation at his flat. They'd taken a taxi as it was faster, taking a route that took them past the Royal Hospital Chelsea and then briefly along the river. It was one of those rare moments in London where everything seemed to fit together perfectly. It was uncanny and somewhat perplexing how well things could go when one least expected it. There was always something waiting to rear its ugly head in this city, be it bad traffic, street crime, or an unintentional threesome. Luckily, they'd both managed to avoid all three and were safely back at his flat on Hurlingham Road. A Friday night in London could be really fun. The lights, the noise, the pubs and bars with people spilling out from all of the doorways. The fights, the drama, the excitement. All of it added to an urban stew which was exhilarating, but at times exhausting for someone who had just spent the summer exhibiting his photography at places such as Somerset House and some smaller venues in East London. In short, he needed rest. Fortunately, he didn't have the urge to kick Freddy out or make him leave. He did have to figure out where to store his road bike, though, as it was clearly very valuable and he didn't want it to get stolen. As they walked into his flat, he made sure Freddy knew he didn't have to go home that evening. It was around 11 in the evening by this point, and cycling would be dangerous after drinking. "Where should I put your bike? I have space in the front room." "My bike? Why?" "I was going to head home in a bit," Freddy answered, obviously perplexed. "Don't bike home. Stay here. Or at the very least leave your bike here and I'll call a car for you." It wasn't an awkward silence, but it was long enough for Andy to figure out that Freddy hadn't expected this, or at the very least wasn't sure how to navigate the situation. "Well, I'll tell you what. Put your bike inside for now, and then we can finish dinner. The crab looks amazing. I wonder whether it's from Cornwall. The Cornish crab is amazing." Freddy caught on at this point. "Sure, yeah, okay, let's do that." Andy opened a bottle of Riesling to go with dinner. A sweet choice, but intentional so that he wouldn't drink any more. He found it far too sweet, meaning that after one glass, he was usually done. Besides, the cheap wine at the photography event had given him bad heartburn. He didn't even want to eat, but figured it was the best way to keep Freddy around a little longer. Not that he was lonely, but there was a tempting urge to sleep next to him tonight. They were sitting out in the garden, which was perfectly cozy and private. He had lit some candles and laid out some of his nice crystal glassware and put on some music. His choice for this occasion was some gentle piano music by an artist called Alexander Paul Burton, a British-Canadian neoclassical composer who he had found recently. It suited the relaxing end to the evening perfectly. The next move was up to Freddy. He wanted to make him feel relaxed, so poured some of the Riesling into each glass and initiated a conversation he had wanted to have all evening. "So, what are you looking for?" Freddy looked down upon hearing this, clearly choosing his next words carefully. "I just want to find peace. There's so much chaos and turmoil in this city." He continued, "Sometimes I'm just bloody exhausted. Not just by rowing, but also by work and everything. It's a lot for me." Andy was taken aback by his emotional honesty. It was vulnerable, and somewhat unexpected from someone who had initially come across as stoic and very strong. He looked Freddy in the eyes and touched his knee. It was a little bit clumsy, but it clearly meant something to Freddy as he reciprocated and placed his hand on top of his. "I get you. Sometimes you just want a crab salad and want to avoid getting crabs. The humour cut through the stiff emotional weight that they were both feeling. Andy scolded himself briefly, then realised it was the exact right thing at that moment to cut through it all. Freddy clearly found it hilarious. Yeah, I'm not interested in hookup culture anymore, to be honest. I'll call you a taxi if you want. Andy said this in a cheeky way, which was respectful, yet also carried a different undertone. Freddy was still smiling from cheek to cheek. I think I'll stay here, to protect my bike. So many weird people in London. At that moment, Andy knew that Freddy was complicit in whatever they'd silently agreed together. It was clear that he did want to sleep over, but had spent almost the entire day, since Bishop's restaurant in the afternoon, making it clear that he had good intentions. Andy didn't need to say any more. They continued their meal while chatting gently into the evening breeze. This relaxing meal was precisely what he needed. The company was amazing too. What a beautiful end to the day, he thought to himself.